What's up, folks? It's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to another episode of Indie Showcase. Yes, indeed. I've got a little bit of an interesting one here for you today. This is another one developer project, and I always find these quite interesting. This actually came out a few months ago at time of recording. I've had it since launch, and it's one of those things I haven't gotten to as quickly as I'd like. But this is called Drawkanoid, and those of you who are old people like me are probably going to remember the very excellent original arcade game by Taito called Arkanoid, and it was sort of like a much more refined, advanced version of games like Atari's Breakout. You had a ball, you had a paddle, you knocked the ball into blocks, you broke the blocks, you got points, that kind of thing. This is a very interesting spin on this. And it's by a small developer from South Africa called QCF Design. This was a team that originally made the game Desktop Dungeons, which was kind of a cult hit a few years ago. The team is largely split up. It's still one person left there, though, and he did this originally as a paternity leave project that he said. And it's quite interesting. So it's about $8.99 Canadian, so about $8 US, relatively inexpensive. And while you're going to see a lot of parts of this that frankly make this look an awful lot like a ported mobile game, but it's actually not. It's actually only on PC, and it is on Steam. And he said that the developer has said that he plans to bring this to more platforms, but he hasn't said which ones. I would be stunned if this is not coming to mobile, because it has all the hallmarks of something like that, but in a good way. You know, most people hear mobile games and they're like, ugh, but no, this is actually not bad. And it's a very interesting spin on Arkanoid. So we're just going to start a game up here, and I'll show you some of these other options a little bit later on. So, you'll see what I mean here. A standard Arkanoid game, this is not. So number one, take a look at that, right? This is not just your standard, holy, there's a ton of blocks in the way. It looks a lot different, right? And also you're going to see what this is. Well, check this out. Yeah. This is very not your daddy's Arkanoid, that's for sure. So the idea behind this is really cool. It's called Drawkanoid because you're literally drawing out your paddle. And what happens is the ball goes crazy hyper fast when it's in the playfield, but then when it enters this area down below here, it goes into hyper slow-mo, and the idea is that you draw the paddle out, which helps determine, as you can see here by the little pointer I had on the screen, sort of helps determine where it's going to go. And you need to very quickly determine and alter your angles in order to hit all the targets. And then when you clear all the targets out, that boss comes down, you only have to hit the boss once, and then you continue on. Games of this are typically very, very short. If the more keenly eyed of you may have seen there in my Steam page that I only have 0.4 hours in this, and you're going to be like, well, how the heck did you form impressions of this in less than half an hour? That's because I probably played about 30 rounds of this at the very least. Another reason I think, so there's a few reasons, obviously, that I thought originally that this was a portable mobile game. Number one, take a look at the screen orientation. Now, you could forgive that because, well, it's a Breakout-style Arkanoid game, and those tend to be very vertically oriented. And then, but take a look at the main mechanic. It's drawing a line. So I'm doing it with the mouse, obviously, and it works very well. But this is, I mean, use your friggin' finger, right? It'd be perfect for that. And lastly, this game also has power-ups that you can purchase using an in-game currency that is effectively earned by scoring high. There are no microtransactions in this. You can't spend real money to buy these power-ups. And the power-ups give you little advantages, but nothing crazy. You were not buying power, I would think. But this totally could be set up so that if he wanted to sell this on mobile, or rather offer it as free to play, because games that you charge an upfront fee for on mobile almost never succeed now, sadly, he would have a means to monetize it by selling these power-ups, or selling the option to get them more quickly. Now, that was a relatively short game. You see the total play time is 48 seconds. That's not real time because it slows down when the ball goes into the draw area. But then, as you can see here, you earn this currency by playing the game. And by using that, you can buy a whole bunch of different power-ups that you can equip and use. So I have a couple here already, like Pierce 1. Ball pierces through the first 2 blocks after hitting the paddle, destroying the blocks instantly. You can buy a homing thing. The ball changes directly to the nearest brick for a short time. I'm actually going to pick that up because I think that would be super handy. And we got here, wide paddle allows you to draw longer paddles, play with more confidence and less misses. And then aim, this one's kind of handy. This is the thing that you may have seen showing me the line as to where my my ball was going to go. I don't think the wide paddle I've been really using that much. So let's equip homing here. And then you see you can go back here. You can actually have multiple players on this, so you can change who's playing it, and it will track their currency independently, which is nice. No leaderboards in this, sadly, but that's, you know, that would have been nice, but not the end of the world. It also has replays. You saw it generated a little replay of the last few seconds of the game there. You can save those out as animated GIFs that you can tweet. You can actually tweet directly from within the game if you want, and you can also save that. Nice little feature, you know, if you want to show this off to people. And then there's the options menu, pretty basic, but you don't need a lot in a game like this. So, yeah, and you just keep starting this. Games of this, I mean, if you're really good at it, games of this could go for quite some time, I reckon, but, you know, they're usually a couple of minutes each at most. So you're seeing here what the length of the paddle is now I can draw out without that power up. And you see, it's not just a question of drawing a straight line. See, that's what was, see, the thing with Arkanoid back in the day is all you were doing is you had a straight paddle, and you see power-ups appear down here as well, and you activate them by drawing over them. In Arkanoid, you had a straight paddle, and what determined the ball's trajectory was basically the physics of it. So if the ball was coming down and you sort of ran your paddle into it at an angle, or you ran your paddle into it at a certain direction and didn't just suicide like I just did there, that would determine the angle that the ball went up at, and you needed to do that in order to hit all the blocks. In this one, you have more or less 6 degrees of freedom. You're drawing the paddle out, and you're drawing the paddle at angles if you want as well, and that obviously has a huge impact on where it's going to go. Wow, that was the homing missile thing, I guess. That was kind of hilarious. And that will... So you have a lot more control and freedom over where the ball goes. And that's obviously critical in this game because Arkanoid, you had a huge empty play area in most cases between your ball and the blocks unless you were on the very high levels. This one from the get-go, almost the entire play field is filled right away. And with obstacles that are different shapes, different sizes, and have different properties that can impact the ball. Achievement unlocked 4D chess. I don't even know what I just did there, but okay. And the achievements in this I find are generally pretty clever too. So you're really, you have to think when you're doing this. If you want to really succeed at it, especially at higher level play, you've really got to think how you're going to be directing the ball around and how you can draw out your paddle in order to best maximize that. And what I like about this is you got to think fast, obviously. You know, you have a little bit of time when the ball gets down here into the lower play area, but it doesn't stop. All it does is slow down. So you got to really, you got to really think quick here, and you've got to strategize quick. And I really like that. This is a good sort of brain worker, this game, which is actually something I enjoy about it. And even though your games won't necessarily last very long each, at least not initially, it's a really good stimulating thing. It sort of wakes you up and it kicks your brain in gear a little bit. And if you're, you know, if you're bored, and I actually kind of wish, even though this PC version of it is good, I actually do wish there was a mobile port of this. I'd probably buy it because this is a great game if you're stuck in a line or you need a couple of minutes of sanity break, you know, at work or something like that. This is a good game to play because it's very fast, it's very punchy, you know, it's got the bright visuals, the loud soundtrack, you know, the very quick movement. It'll wake your brain up. And I like that. I think that's actually pretty interesting. And to be honest with you, this is not a hard game to explain. You're really seeing it. This is pretty much the whole of it. So, but the fact that it's not complicated to explain is not a bad thing at all. You know, some of the best games in the world, historically, are some of the simplest. And there have been attempts to do a more interesting Arkanoid / Breakout before, and most of them have either not been very good or have really not changed the formula as much as they thought they would. This does both of those things. This takes the Arkanoid formula, turns it right on its ear, and it does a really good job of it. Like, this game is very fun, and it's a little addicting. I'm not gonna lie about that. I don't know how well it's done. There has been, other than when he announced on the company website that it has been released, he said it then it was coming to other platforms, but I looked and I haven't seen it on anything. This would be great on any number of things. I mean, I could see the drawing element of this being tricky with a controller. I feel like people smarter than me could figure out how to make that work. I couldn't. This could work fine on the Switch because of its touchscreen, but you have to make it work with a controller on the Switch as well, so that might be tricky. Unless it had some sort of auto-aim or target snapping that would snap it to the ball when the ball appeared in the lower area down here, so that you could very easily, quickly, like it would snap to the edge of the ball and then you could draw out the paddle really quick. I could see that working. I don't know how else it would work though. But obviously on touchscreen devices like phones and tablets, this is a no-brainer. And I can't possibly believe that he didn't design this game with that in mind. I'm sure of it. But this would be a good mobile game. I would, like with most mobile games, I am one of the apparently like 5 people in the world who doesn't mind paying for a mobile game if it's not scummy and exploitive. I would happily pay for this on my phone. I'd probably pay $8 to have this on my phone to play just like this. But if you wanted to release it free to play and make it so that you could earn the power-ups, but you could pay a little, you could pay some money to get them early, yeah, that would be a perfectly reasonable way to do this. I think it could totally work. And I actually do hope we see this on mobile platforms. I only keep a handful of games on my phone, and they're games that I know I can regularly and reliably come back to when I need the little distraction. And this would absolutely go in that stable, I think, because I have fun with this whenever I play it. And like I said, even though I only played it for half an hour before doing this video, that was all I really needed to know to get the core of it and why it was cool. And it's simple but complicated, easy to learn, hard to master. And it's frankly hard to make games like that these days. It's too many developers tend to overcomplicate things or make them so simple that they're almost dumbed down. And this very much didn't do that. So I've honestly been really digging this. And I would recommend checking it out if you're looking for a little casual thing to waste some time with. This is 3D, but it will probably run, I haven't tried it, but this would probably run on like integrated graphics and fairly low-end things. So if you have a work laptop or just a low-end personal laptop, this would probably be a good lo-fi indie game that you could try out for that. And hopefully we do see it on other platforms like, yeah, the Switch or cell phones or something like that, because it's a really cool take on a tried and true game formula. So yeah, that is Drawkanoid, developed and published by QCF Design. It came out in January 2020, but it's still available now, obviously. It's less than $10, PC and Mac right now, and it's coming to other platforms eventually, according to the dev. I hope we get to see that soon. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it. So thank you guys very much for watching this episode of Indie Showcase. If you did like what you saw here, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notifications on future videos. And drop a comment and let me know what you think of this, if this is something that interests you, what platforms you'd like to see it on. I would love to know about that as well. And yeah, this is really cool. I definitely recommend checking it out. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next episode of Indie Showcase. You guys have a good one. Take it easy.